Hey guys, this is Joseph Brooks. I'm an audio engineer and music producer here in LA. I've been producing music and mixing records professionally. I get paid to work on music with lots of amazing, talented artists from day to day in the studio. And I want to tell you a price breakdown. What is the cost to hire a music producer? What does it cost to make a record? And if you're an artist and you're up and coming and you haven't really been in the studio a lot, or maybe you've never recorded your music before, maybe you sing and you write songs, but you've never professionally worked with somebody, there are people who make music and it's a hobby. This isn't a hobby for me. This is my job. So I do this professionally, and I'm here to help you out by giving you a range of prices so you know what the going rates are for working with producers, working with engineers in the studio, whether that's mixing or mastering or music production or just recording studio time in general. What are you paying for when you hire a professional to work on your music? So number one, you're hiring the person. So the rate will be reflected based on who that person is. How many records they've worked on before, how many songs they produced, and their credentials. Is this a person who went to music college? How many years of experience do they have producing and recording and mixing music? And also, do they have any accolades? Have they won any Grammy awards and things like that? And the more Grammys you have, the more awards you've won as your career goes on as an engineer or a producer, you can charge as much as you want because you've got those credits. So, the second thing that you are being charged for typically is the space. So if you are in a big studio, then, the cost is going to go up for recording in that space. And also, it's really good to note that if you are working with a mix engineer or a producer who is mixing in a treated room, in a treated studio, my studio is completely sound treated, acoustically treated. And having a producer who works in a treated room, in a treated space, ups the value of your mixes and your recordings entirely. But anyway, the price goes up based off of the room. So if you're in a big famous studio, with all kind of crazy gear and all this stuff, you're paying for the space. If you're making pop music and you're not recording a bunch of live instruments, then you can get away with a very nice professional home studio or a mid-level project studio versus a big giant studio with like 5 different rooms. So number 3, what you're paying for is the person's time. Okay, you're paying for their time, you're paying for their skill, and you're paying for their time. Recording session rates. These are studio rates, and this ranges, based on location. But if you're in a bigger city like LA or New York City, the rate is going to be higher because you're in a much bigger city inherently versus a small town. So if you're working in a home studio or a project studio, you can expect to pay anywhere from $25 per hour to $60 per hour in a nice, sound treated room. At the mid-level, a mid-tier studio, anywhere from $50 per hour to $100 per hour. And at top tier, famous production house studio, anywhere from $100 an hour to $350 per hour. Some studios also can charge, at a day rate versus hourly. So in like a home project studio, that could be anywhere from $200 for the day to $400 per day. Mid-level studio, $400 per day to $1,000 per day. Top tier studio, $1,000 to $3,500 per day. And it can go up from there depending on how famous the studio is or how big the studio is or if you're working with a really famous engineer. So let's talk about mix rates. What is the rate to have somebody mix my song? So on the low end, we're talking about $100 to $300 per song. I would say, this is somebody with anywhere from 1 to 5 years experience should be in that tier. If you're a mid-range engineer, you've got, 10 years experience to 15 years experience. That's the range that I'm in. Somewhere around the $300 to $700 per song range for mixing. And this is going to be, in a professionally treated room. And it's somebody who has the ear training and the experience for that. For a top engineer, somebody with a bunch of credits, with famous artists, maybe on the label, somebody who's got Grammys, $700 to $3,000 per song. That's just for that one part of the production. Music production rates. So if you are a beginner producer, you should probably be charging somewhere from $200 to $500 per song. And if you are at the mid-tier, that's where I'm at, that will be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000 per song. If you are a top-tier music producer, you've worked with some really famous acts, it's probably going to be anywhere from $5,000 and up. That is the going rates for music production. And this can fluctuate, based on how many songs you want to do. Maybe they'll give you a bundled rate or discount if you're doing a full EP or full album. It really depends on the arrangement. And also sometimes the upfront cost can be changed based on how much back-end credit or royalties you are going to offer them. If you're going to offer a producer some royalties, then they may discount the upfront costs that they're giving you. So it's the balance of that. If you don't want to give them any royalties and you don't want to give them any points on the record, then you're going to buy out the record by paying them more upfront. But if you don't want to pay as much upfront, then you will share credits, you will share royalties with them later on, where as your song gets more successful, your song gets streams, it's placed in a movie, it's in a commercial, they will get money off of that in the back end. That's what we talk about when we're talking about royalties, points, back end. That is the money that comes after the song's already been released. If you're a singer and you're an artist and you're looking to hire a music producer, these are the going industry rates. So understanding these rates will give you a better idea of what kind of a budget you should have to work with professionals on your music project. My name is Joseph Brooks. I'm an audio engineer. If you want to check out my work, head on over to redvelvetstudio.com. I have that all there. And thanks for stopping by. And I'm glad that I was able to help you out with this information so that you can get started on your music journey.